Hey, this is Dan Toops with Better Thinking, Better Living, and we're coming to you today with our third and final installment of some interviews that I've been doing here with my good friend and mentor, Dr. Tim McClure. Not only is he my friend and a mentor of mine in business, but he's also my pastor. Today I want to ask him, Doctor, what role has spirituality, your spirituality, played in everything that you do?
Well, thank you, Dan. This is excellent, and we're here on Carnival Inspiration. You know, go to cruise. So this is the way you do an interview,
right?
And I would say that spirituality has really been, for me, it has been the core transformation, because you know, I grew up in an extremely impoverished environment, academically deprived, sociologically in a mess, psychologically distorted. And in a lot of my family, they know that. And I was just the first, probably honest one to say it. But I grew up in and around church, but it was just a church. It's just a denomination. Spirituality goes beyond church. It goes beyond all of that. And I would say what is provided for me is the fuel. It's provided me the fuel, passion. I like to use that word. It's the passion to energize my transformation, my success, my desire to be better, to go beyond. All human beings know. You know, you start off in January. Everybody joins the gym and they're going to get healthy, and by the time February gets here, they all quit. Everybody on Mondays, the gyms are full on Mondays, but you don't see them Tuesday through Saturday. So therefore, inspiration and motivation and the juice, the energy, dies so fast because it is extrinsically done,
right,
not internally done. Spirituality provides the internal energy, passion, the drive, the fuel to keep you going on the right path.
Exactly. And
if you know, of course we know each other, have been friends for a long time. You know, faith and spiritual experiences and relationship is all about my life. It gives me my fuel. My friends help a great deal. My reading is so. But if it wasn't for spirit, if it wasn't for faith, I'd have ran out of gas a long time ago. It's extremely important to have faith.
Right. And from my standpoint, I've listened to a number of motivational speakers and people that are into positive thinking and self-esteem and personal development, and I find that the majority of them do emphasize the spirituality aspect of that. And my thing was coming to an understanding or making a differentiation between spirituality and church. Because I came up in church and I thought church was spirituality, but it wasn't until later that I found out that they were two different things.
Right.
And that my spirituality was basically who I am. This is who I am inside, and that God wanted me to succeed, that God wants me to have a better life, that God wants me to prosper, that
right,
God wants me to have good health and good relationships, that God was informing me. I think that transformed my life.
Exactly. And for the most part, you use the term spirituality in church. What the big problem has been for years, decades, centuries, if not millenniums, is that our culture, our society, has told us.
Very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're doing.
Bring up the subject of the church and spirituality. For too long, I say, and I have a PhD in culturology and religion. The church has been the definitive defining spirituality, rather than spirituality defining church. I say the church becomes the seed or the seat of spirituality, and that becomes the display, rather than the display of a subject or a box of the shoes in the box. You buy a pair of shoes, the shoes come in the box. Well, the box is not what you're buying. You're buying the shoes, so the shoes is in the box.
Exactly.
So that's the idea there. Spirituality, faith, conviction, principles to live by, that's the core. It's just seeded inside a church. You don't go to Walmart and find spirituality.
Right.
You don't go order on a mail order at Sears and Roebuck.
Right.
So church becomes the house, so to speak, of where this is derived from, and you go and interact and develop relationships for spirituality.
Exactly.
But you're not going to church for the church itself, or the traditionalism, and call that spirituality.
Exactly.
And that's been the conflict for the most part. And that's, in my opinion, has hindered a great deal of people. And they want to, like, well, I grew up in church, and I'm not spiritual. I'm not this. I don't do all that because I had a bad experience in church. Well, yeah, because that's your focus. Your focus was not spirituality or faith or conviction. You have to have belief systems. You got to have principle. And I'll argue this to people who are unbelievers, atheists, and I'll say, love is better than hate.
Exactly.
I mean, are you going to argue with me that success is not better than failure?
Right.
That right is not better than wrong? So, I mean, I win the argument hands down anywhere I go when you base it on the point of faith, spirituality, and right versus wrong. I win. But if you come in and try to start talking denominationalism or churchianity or these things, then people's opinions, they've had too many bad experiences. No doubt all of us have.
Right. Well, you have to understand what we're telling people is not to go to church when we say spirituality, make the distinction, because you need to be in an environment where your spiritual values are reinforced on a regular basis. That's why I attend church, because I go to a great church environment that challenges me to think, to better myself educationally, business-wise, even my physical body, and that makes all the difference in the world. I mean, if you're going to a church that's criticizing you, making you feel worthless, making you feel hopeless, and that the world's going to hell in a handbasket, you need to find you another church, somewhere that's going to celebrate you and help build you up, because that's what God wants to do in your life.
Oh yes, I totally agree. And if a person, Dan, unfortunately, what we've done, our whole cultural society, in fact, the media, the news, some anchor on nighttime news is defining and telling people in the communities listening and all over the country about church and giving advice in their interview. And then these people couldn't even spell Bible.
Right.
But the sad thing is that and our culture has defined what spirituality is supposed to be,
right,
rather than a person exploring it themselves. For instance, the Bible. If you just read the Bible as a book, you will gain so much motivation, inspiration to make great principles, and you'll find, I didn't even know that was in there.
Exactly.
Because, it's, who is leading who. And so your spirituality should accentuate the Bible, accentuate church, accentuate faith, rather than those things, quote unquote, trying to accentuate spirituality.
Right. Thank you, Doctor. We enjoyed these 3 interviews. They've been very helpful, and we've got to get back to our cruise because it's time to go eat, because it's been a couple hours since we ate before. There's just so much food.
Oh, man,
but I have enjoyed this cruise. It's been wonderful. Had great friends. My friend Jack Voss has been doing our videotaping for us here, and I want to thank you, Jack, for that. We're going to have some links here for Dr. McClure's materials, and you just click on those. And this is Dan with Better Thinking, Better Living, and you have a great day.